I have another Lori here with me today who actually spells her name exactly the same way that I do, which is slightly rare because normally it's Laurie. And so I'm really grateful that Lori is here. We are going to go through, again, what it looks like to start from scratch. And I've been sharing all different kinds of practitioners and coaches from all different places of, in the world, because I want you to see that you can do this. I want you to see that, if all of these different people coming in with no clue and no tech background and no email list and nothing, if they can do it, you can do it too. So let's start off. Lori, why don't you just share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you. Yes, so I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Lori Tybin. I'm a life coach, spiritual mentor, empowerment coach. And, when I started, what brought me here was that I've always had this dream of helping others, empowering them and coaching them and having this program and being able to do it at a mass scale, a much larger scale than just one-on-one. I've had other businesses, retail businesses, distributorship businesses in the past, but the whole idea of something online was incredibly intriguing. But I am not a tech person. Like anything happens, I'm handing it over to someone else. I'm calling the IT tech support team. So being able to have a program that not only helped me develop my business from zero, from the ground up, like, hey, I want to have this business. What am I going to do? And walk me through that, but also create all the tech, like behind the scenes for me. So it's done, like lickety split. But then also teach me through the back end walkthroughs on how I can rinse and repeat it as I grow and scale my business is what really brought me here. So it's a little bit about me and why I love the program.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And one of the things that I've been saying throughout all of these different interviews is just, I can't stop with like the giddy smile because even just listening to you speak just now, right, about your business, using the words, building and scaling and the tech walkthrough and the back end and like just the language, you probably didn't have that, 6 months ago, that level of awareness. And just to even be able to speak as fluidly as you are about your business, your online business, I'm sure even that is new for you too. Right?
It's awesome. Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So let's talk about what it looked like for you before you decided that you were going to work with us. Did you have an email list? Did you have a social media following? Just walk me through sort of your line of thinking in terms of like, I have nothing, or what you did have, paint the picture of what it looked like.
So I had nothing, zero, nothing other than this burning, persistent, almost nagging nudge that I wanted to create this. And I just didn't know exactly how to do it. I just knew that I wanted to do it. And I had started, it's been like several years leading up to joining the program, trying to do things on my own. And by trying, meaning spending hours watching YouTube videos, putts around on websites and researching and enrolling in other programs that were like little teeny pieces, like how to build a digital course. But then this one used all this tech that didn't integrate with the previous course I had signed up for. And nothing was really congruent and systematic in the way that it walked through. So I struggled for a number of years, putzing around, again, this burning desire to get this business up and running and no cohesive plan to get there. So for me to be able to sit here today with my completed program on my computer screen over here, everything's built out. And I had everything built out. I went pretty rapid through the program. All my tech was built out within like 7 weeks of joining the programs, from starting with like nothing. And I have an email list now, and I have a website social presence, and continuing to grow it.
So let's talk about that, because I think that for a lot of people, rightfully so, they don't understand the necessity of the cohesion of building it one piece at a time, but with the anchor of your niche, your ideal client, the problem, all of that as the anchor versus the tech. I think a lot of people are like, okay, well, what tech platform do I use? And we're like, it doesn't matter. Like, let's talk about how we're going to make everything super cohesive. And I think to your point, and one of the things that I want to share, that's so important for everybody is, for everybody who's made a prior investment, I know that that's so frustrating, right? For everybody that's made a prior investment that felt like they came out with nothing or nothing they could really use, right? And that's because I would say 99% of the people that are offering these online courses or even, one-to-one business coaching or whatever, it's for one part, right? It's for one part, and they don't either give you the full plan, and therefore nothing is cohesive, and you don't understand how to use it, and you don't know where it fits in. Was that your experience?
It was completely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so do you want to just share a little bit about sort of the difference and why doing it this way in terms of building out the whole thing versus, trying to piecemeal it together allowed you to really have these like tangible outcomes that we'll share the screen and we'll go through them?
Yeah. I mean, I would just start off by saying too, the transparency of this program and you and your team, Lori, is also something that really sets anybody else aside, because other programs I kind of signed up for like on a whim, and you ask for details and like, oh, well, you'll get that in the program. But like here today, what you're doing here, showing the people, especially for people who are visuals like me, who like, show me, let me see it. Don't just tell me I'll get it. Show me what I'm going to get. When I joined, I was able to see a sneak peek of the back end setup too. And once I saw it, I was like, okay, this is believing. This is all the tech piece. So the transparency is also what really sets this program apart from any of the other ones I've had in the past. And then to your question about like the cohesiveness is that, I guess the best way I would describe it is learning, when you do something yourself, it's you're learning through trial and error. So when in other programs and on my own, it's trying to figure out what to do next. And sometimes you take, 2 steps forward and then you end up having to go 5 steps backwards because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And being able to have a cohesive program that very frankly, transparently at the front says, okay, you might not understand, Laura, you say this, you might not understand why we're having you do it this way, but there's a reason for it. There's a process. This is a trusted process. It's been proven. It works. You have to trust the process. So for me to be able to start off and build my business, and, just to summarize, when I first started off, I actually thought I was going to go into a completely different area, a different niche. But going through and working through the process and the program, I learned that this is really where my passion is, and this is the niche that I want to serve and what I want to do every day. And that's something that I wouldn't have been able to work out without the coaches and without the cohesiveness of the program of going all the way through. Because I spent years trying to create a different program entirely.
And I think, thank you for sharing that. And I think that that's really important. I got an email this morning from a woman who was talking about how she felt really upset because we were asking all these types of questions that she didn't know the answers to. And in my mind, I'm like, of course you didn't know the answer. Like, of course you don't know the answers. And what we're trying to show you is that you're not going to be able to figure them out yourself, right? What I'm trying to demonstrate is that you can't teach yourself something you don't have any stinking clue about. And the reason that we are, doing these interviews is because I know, just as in Lori's case, how much money is being spent elsewhere. I know how much time and energy and bandwidth is going into these one-off courses or working with these, one-off individuals who I'm sure are lovely. But when you're wanting to have, as a professional who transforms lives for a living, right? As someone who, in Laura's case, she's a life coach, and an empowerment mentor, you need to have the totality of everything. You cannot just have, for example, even just an online program or a webinar or a lead magnet or a Facebook group or a this or a that, because it's not going to work. Just like if you were opening up a restaurant, you wouldn't just have the kitchen without the front of house, because it's not going to work. You might make delicious food, but if there's nowhere for anybody to sit, it's not going to matter. Right. And so I think I feel so strongly about sharing these things because I don't want you wasting money, piecemealing it together, feeling like you're the one that's failing because why can't you figure this out? Right. So let's go ahead and share screen, and we'll walk you through what an online business looks like from start to finish. And, in Zero to Clients, it's so much more than just, I don't like when people are like, oh, it's a coaching program. Like, no, it's not. Yes, that's one part of it. You absolutely get coached, but it really is a business development program, because we are taking you from nothing, literally from nothing, and we are developing your entire business with you. And in most cases, like the tech for you. So let's log in. What I think would be helpful, if we can actually start, okay, you're going into your online program. Okay, so we'll start here. So go here, go log in, that's fine. And so this is what the online program looks like. And again, if you've watched any of our other interviews, you'll see that they all look very similar, because the framework that we use works. So everybody that comes in goes through our specific framework on how to create your online program. What modules you need, what you need to put in the modules, how it all should be laid out, and all of that good stuff. So do you want to just sort of walk us through, Lori, from your perspective, what this is?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, each section, each module, if you will, is organized on the left-hand side here, and then each component is underneath. So in mine, Welcome and Get Started, I have Welcome, and it's an audio that is, that I scripted out, and throughout the program, you script it out and you welcome individuals into the course. And there's learning components such as the course overview and timeline, how to navigate the program. And then there's action items. And these are things that the program walks you through, how to create this outline, how to create all of the content. The coaches review the outline, they provide input and feedback. So you have all this opportunity to make sure that what you're creating is appropriate to the program and to your niche and to the ideal client that you serve. Yeah. So it walks you through all of this, and then also like even the overview and the layout of your program itself. So you can see, like, I have the Welcome and Get Started, then I go into meditation, and I have some learning modules in here, some action items, which include like downloads. And then my next module is much longer, module 3. It's actually broken out into 2 weeks. And this is, again, something the coaches will help you with. They'll say, okay, you have a lot of content here. They're like, maybe you want to think about giving your clients 2 weeks to work through this module, or they'll give you feedback such as, have you thought about maybe breaking this out into 2 separate modules? And this is the type of interaction and feedback you get throughout the program. That was also very different than anything else I've experienced before. So for mine, this particular module really felt like it needed to be all in one, because the content is related to fear in your body, the module I take my clients through. But the coaches had suggested that I allow for 2 weeks. So I have 2 weeks for this module because there's so much content in here. And what you can see is there is learning items, and then there's action items. And then I have some optional action items as well. And everything you just click through, you click on it, and there is the action, there's a learning, and then following it is the action item that you must do. And then so you go through all of the different modules, and then I kind of commence mine as a commencement opportunity. There's some learning and action items in there, and then next steps, and then additional resources and content. Amazing. And again, this is what it looks like from your client's perspective. So the back end, what you would look at, I would look at as I update or I add more bonus content, looks differently, but this is as a client would walk through the membership area.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to note, because I get this question a lot, I'm a life coach, I'm a midwife, can I have an online program? And I think the really important thing to note is that you are the subject matter expert. Just as you can see here, Lori has her brain basically on paper here, right? And so we understand how to create curriculum. We are very good at it, right? We understand what is overwhelming for a person. We understand how to do the layouts. We understand the difference between a learning and an action. We are the absolute leading experts in creating online signature programs for practitioners and coaches. And so when you attend a coaching call, or when you submit your outline for it to be reviewed, we are not assessing your subject matter, because that's what you went to school for, right? We are assessing if it's too much, if it's too little, if the action item is clear, if your learning lesson is too long. We're looking at it almost as if we are the editors of your book,
Mhm.
right? We're not writing the book, you're the author, and we are the editors. So we are basically editing your program based on what we know after co-creating thousands of online programs for people, and our clients giving us feedback from their own clients and perfecting the way that we basically edit your book, because this is your book, right? This could also easily be turned into a book. And so this is your book, and we sort of act as the editors. That was your experience, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what the online program is. This is what all of the clients go into. They enroll, they complete the transaction, they're going to get the email, they're going to get access to the content hub. So let's take it back and let's go through your lead magnet. So as Lori mentioned, when she started, she had nothing. She had no email list. She had no social media following. She had zero. And so after we get you to create your online program, then we go and we get you to create your lead magnet and your lead generation process so that you can start building an audience. So let's see what that looks like. And we do the tech. So even in the case of the online program, you fill out the spreadsheet with all of your content and you just give it to us, and then we give it back to you and it looks exactly as you saw it. And so this is your lead magnet. Perfect. Okay, there we go. And so it's how to discover how to find fulfillment in life as a busy woman without wasting any more time. Right. And so it's journaling prompts. And so, when Lori creates social media content, are you running ads or no?
I am.
Perfect. Okay. So she's running ads. People are going to see this in their newsfeed. They're going to click on the ad and they're going to download the lead magnet. And there's a little blurb at the bottom about, who she is. Yep. Go ahead and click download. And again, we have different templates, right? And so this is a different template than we've sort of seen in the past. We've seen the citrus. I think this is what, the feminine?
It is.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So then they're going to get to the thank you page. And again, we have the prompt to join the Facebook group. And so that takes them over to the Facebook group. You can just go ahead and click that. And then of course they're going to join the Facebook group, because why wouldn't they? Right? Why wouldn't they join the Facebook group? And this is where the cohesion comes into play, right? Everything looks the same. Everything is branded the same. The languaging is the same. And so they're really feeling like, oh my gosh, this is just for me, right? This is just for me. And so they will join the Facebook group. And then obviously, she's already in her own Facebook group, so we can't do that. And then she would join the Facebook group, and then they would get then emails, right? And so then they would get the automatic emails from ActiveCampaign. And just, again, I want to point out just the simple fact that Lori's able to navigate this as I'm talking, it's because she knows now her business, right? She understands the mechanics of her business. She understands how her audience members move through and experience her, which I think is really important, right? She has a solid understanding of how they are experiencing her, and she gets to, I don't want to use the word control that, she gets to create that experience. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about that and about how creating the emails and just, putting yourself in their shoes and just pouring your sort of creativity and your compassion into this? How was that for you?
Yeah, I think that it's going through, when you start the program and you're building all the content, you don't see any of this yet, right? You
Yeah.
know it's coming.
Yeah.
But you start from zero. I started from zero. So I was starting with identifying my ideal client, my niche, and then what my program components. I'm identifying all of that, and the coaches are walking you through, okay, what does a person feel like when they're struggling with XYZ? What are those, those pain points? What are the emotions? What are the frustrations? What does it feel like on a daily basis? You're walking through all of that and being guided in the program to create the content all the way through everything from your target market, your ideal client, to the program, to the learning lessons and action items, through the lead magnet process, through the nurture emails. So what you're seeing on the screen right here is my active campaign. And these are all of my automations that were completely set up for me that I would never have been able to do on my own from scratch. But now I'm able to do on my own because they've taught me. So not only do you get it done for you, but you get to learn it. And as you're walking through this, there's templates for everything. And I found the experience of being able to have the templates available to me and the coaches and the feedback, not only from the coaches, but the feedback from other members in the program, to kind of get me constantly unstuck. And it really helps, like, you don't sit with the analysis paralysis of how do I open this up? Or what is this content? Should this be 3 paragraphs? Should this be 5 paragraphs? What do I say? By being able to be provided with the outlines and the process and the templates for things, helped me to move past that analysis and getting stuck period, and really just flow into the creativity, being able to be, okay, this is the template, and now how do I make this mine, right?
Yes.
How do I own this as my own and just let the creativity flow? So
Yes.
that's the best way that I can describe how you just moves you past stuck and into creative flow.
Yes. And that's so true. And one of the things that I say all the time is, like, I don't want you starting with a blank page. Like, we know that you don't know what you're doing. And so it's not helpful to be like, okay, go write a nurture email. You're going to be like, what should I put it? Exactly to your point. What should I put in it? How long should it be? Should I 3 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs? Right. And so when we are creating your online business and we're creating each step that your, let's call them a prospect, will go through in order to become a client, every single step has a purpose and an intention. And that's very clear when you're creating the content, you're using our templates. It's like, okay, the first step is the lead gen. We have to collect their contact information. That's very clear. So after they've, requested your lead magnet, what's the next step? Well, then they have to get to know you because they're a complete stranger. And so that's where the nurture sequence comes in, right? And we build out that automation for you. Exactly. So it's right there. It's the automation, it's the emails, we give you the templates. And then after the automation and the nurture, then we're like, okay, they have to go through your webinar, right? They have to go through your masterclass. And so then you register them for your webinar, using the webinar registration. And those emails are automated and those kick off too. So what we're looking at here is the nurture sequence, right? And so this is what we're building for you, because the tech should never be the bottleneck, ever. And, this is what it would look like. And these are all emails, and we, put the dates and all of that stuff, the rules and the logic in there for you, right? And you can go in and edit them. You can go in and add more. You can manipulate this, there's the email, however much you want. And so after the nurture, do you want to show us your webinar registration page, please?
Yes, absolutely. Let me close the window here so we get some good.
Yeah. And I think that's, the piece is, it's so abstract when we talk about, like, oh, I want to have an online business. I'm showing this to you so you can see the tangibles, because it's so important for you to sort of wrap your mind around, what is this online business thing? It's funny, as we're doing this and you're showing all of these things, I'm like, I should send this to my parents and my friends so that they can actually finally understand what it is that I do for people. Like, I should send this to be like, here, mom and dad, this is actually what we do, because it's hard to wrap your mind around. So after somebody goes through the nurture, they're going to register for the webinar. So go ahead and open that up.
Yeah, so we're getting some slow internet. I have to close some tabs out. There we
go.
go.
No worries at all. There we go. And so this is the webinar, the 3 core concepts of how I was able to reconnect with myself at a soul level and reignite my passion and zest for life. And so they would register for the webinar. And then there's a whole nother email sequence that follows that they will get, reminding them to come and pushing them to show up. And then Lori would jump on Zoom and do the webinar. And then she would invite people to book a call with her through her online scheduler. And then she would have the calls and they would enroll into the program. And then they would get the welcome email with access to the program content hub, which we already saw. And so all of those emails, all of these automations, all of these rinse and repeat systems, we build for you because tech should never be the bottleneck. It's there to make your life easier. And so once you learn how to use it, it does become quite simple, I think, at least to, make changes, make modifications, customize it and do all of those things. And so once it's built, it's built, right? Once it's built, it's built. Okay, so you can go ahead and stop sharing. Thank you for that. And so talk to me a little bit about what the experience was like now putting yourself out there. So we build the whole thing and then you got to sort of open the doors and make the announcement and be like, okay, I've arrived. I have this whole thing and I'm here to help people. What was that like for you?
So for me, it was honestly a bit intimidating. I love helping people, which is why I do what I do, but I'm also a very private person. And the best way that, my coaching and helping style has always been sharing little nuggets and personal examples and storytelling, because that's how I've learned and that's how I've overcome things in my life, right?
Yeah.
People share, when somebody that I've worked with, they show a little example of what a particular experience has been like for them. Like, okay, I'm not the only one feeling this way. This is how I can get through it too. So that's a bit of my coaching style. So being able to then have to go more public with it has been just a little bit uncomfortable for me. In my professional past, I've done, in corporate America, I've spoken to hundreds of people in a room, 6,000-7,000 people in a room on a stage with a microphone, but that was limited. So coming onto social media was a little bit more intimidating to me for a lot of different reasons. You don't get the same feedback on social media that you get in live room. And that's a big struggle. It was uncomfortable. It still to this day is uncomfortable. I don't know if it'll ever be something that I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to go do this. But the program walks you through what you need to do. And the more I do it, the more comfortable I do become with it. And I've also allowed myself some grace in the learning curve, right? Like, I know that my program is valuable. I know that it's a program that I went through myself. It's what steps I took in my own life to get me through that stuck phase. And I know it's a great program and I get feedback that it's a great program. So I feel like it's my obligation to put it out there. And in order to put it out there, I have to put myself out there. So it gets easier as you do it.
Yeah. And I really appreciate your honesty and your transparency. And I think, there's once you understand and you have the feedback mechanism to help you know what works and what doesn't, then you get to make it your own. And then it becomes a little bit more fun, right? Then you get to decide, okay, I love running Facebook Lives, or I love doing workshops, or I love, whatever it is where you really get to feel like you're in your zone. And then you just do those things over and over and over again. But when you're first starting, you don't know that, right? You don't know that. I don't love pre-recording video. I don't love that, but I love running webinars and live workshops and my live course. I love those things. And I do those things more often than I do anything else because I love them. And so, I don't love showing up on Instagram stories. So I don't do that all that much. Right. And so you get to sort of play with these, campaigns, and you get to play with these different media platforms until you find what it is that you really like doing and what works for your business. But to your point, it takes a minute, right? It takes a minute. It takes a minute to figure all of that out.
And it's really easy when you're on your own, it's really easy to constantly put things off, right? To procrastinate, to say, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing whatever it is, X, Y, Z. I'm not going to work on it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes the next day, becomes the next week, whatever it is. If it's building the program, if it's building out the tech, if it's writing an email, posting it with social, whatever it is, it's really easy on your own to just not do it and think that I can just skip that piece of it. But when you're in the program and you have the coaches and you have the timelines and you literally have in front of you on the computer screen, this is my next step, this is what needs to be done, and a timeline associated to it to that you set for yourself, right? You give us the tips and you say, if you want to complete the program in X amount of weeks, here's a schedule you follow. If you want to do it in this amount of weeks, here's a schedule you follow. And that's meant for guidance for us. So when you see that in front of you and you have that accountability, even the most type A person like myself found that very useful because it made me move past putting it off, right? Like I know what I have to do next. That's the next step. I can't skip it.
Yes. And yes, the timelines and the accountability are so helpful. And I often say the only way that you sort of won't complete the program and won't have this all built out is if you literally disappear and don't respond to like any of our, messages and, check-ins and whatnot. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Like there really isn't a whole lot to be confused about because it's do this, then do this, then do this. It's pretty clear. So thank you for this. I really appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your support in just, the show and share and helping everybody to sort of see, what an online business is, how the online program looks, how everything is sort of driving to get those clients into the online program. And of course, sharing your experience. So thank you so much.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
so much, everybody, for watching. Bye.